Well, I'm here with Bassey, and we're talking about how to get Bassey and maybe her sister as well into real estate investment. And we're going to look at a number of models together. I told Bassey just before we started recording that I'm really a buy and hold person, not a buy and sell person. So one of the things that occurred to me as we talked a little bit about what Bassey's doing is that in theory anyway, she could rent the condo that she's in right now and buy something else, probably a townhouse or a home. So Bassey, one of the things I probably wouldn't do in Ottawa would be stock up on a lot of condos. Do you know why?
Because of the condo fees?
Because of the condo fees, but also
Yeah.
because condos have a lot of rules. They have more rules than a porcupine has quills, and a porcupine has a lot of quills. And
Right.
and so I teach something called property animation, and I don't mean like Disney animation. I mean how to add new revenue streams to property. And I'm going to show you a few models that, like I said, I hope you'll share this video with your sister. And generally speaking, I prefer freehold townhouses and detached homes as properties for, for purchase and investment purposes. A few reasons for that. One we talked about is, condo fees. You don't have any control over those condo fees.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, they create special assessments. Something goes wrong, a special assessment can be quite substantial. And then if you wanted to, like, I'm not saying you would do this, but if you wanted to put, your apartment on Airbnb, a lot of condo corporations wouldn't allow you to do that. So they have lots of rules, and they have things like condo fees that you have no control over, special assessments. So generally speaking, for investors, you might have one or two condos in your portfolio, but probably not more than that. And the other thing too is that, as a general rule, single-family homes and townhouses, freehold townhouses, go up faster than condos. So there's a lot of reasons why you probably wouldn't buy a condo next. So the other stuff we were working on just before we started recording is, we're just assuming that Bassey's condo's worth about $240,000. It's 2 bedrooms plus a den. It has a mortgage on it of $162,000. And so in theory, if it was worth $240,000, you could probably refinance your home, Bassey, if you wanted to. And if you got an 80% loan to value mortgage, that would be $192,000. So in theory, you could pull out $30,000 of tax-free cash from your existing condo if you wanted to. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'm just saying that typically what people do, and I'll just explain the base, this is a very basic thing, is that you hope that your buildings go up in time, right? And you hope that you pay off your mortgages. So your mortgage you hope is going down, and you hope your condo or your house is going up in value. So that's a very simple graph. Do you like my graph?
Yes.
It's not quite the stuff that you're used to as an engineer, but there you go. But I'm an engineer too, by the way. So there's your graph. Now, a lot of people tell you you should have, your amortization period should be, 30 years, because if you have a 30-year amortization, your monthly payments are less. That is true. But I tell most of the people that I coach in real estate to have, 20-year amortizations or even less. Like I have 5 kids, Bassey, and 3 daughters, all about your age, I think. You're in your 20s, I would guess.
No, I'm 42. But
No, you cannot possibly be 42. Now, I don't like it when clients lie to me. Bassey, if you are 42, I'd be amazed. But anyway, I thought you were 25. So my daughters are in their 20s, and one of my daughters, I'll show you what she did recently. All of her advisors, the realtor, the banker, the accountant, the lender, everybody told her, oh, you should have a 30-year amortization. But how long does it take to pay off a 30-year mortgage?
30 years.
Exactly. And if you're 42, you'll be 72 and you'll finally have paid off the mortgage. I think that's too long. So my middle daughter, her name is Mimi, we compressed our amortization period to 17 years. So let's assume that the house is going up in this value and she has a 30-year amortization. Over a period of 5 years, the mortgage has gone down a little bit. But if we do a 17-year amortization, the mortgage has gone down a lot more. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
And it opens up this space, right? Like where you can refinance like we were talking about. So one of the things that if you can afford it, one of the things that I do coach people to do is to shorten up the amortization as much as they can.
Okay.
All
So
right?
what this means, like higher monthly payments.
It does mean higher monthly payments, but it means over the lifespan of that mortgage, you'll pay a lot less interest and you'll pay off your mortgages a lot faster. Now, you don't want to shorten up the amortization. I mean, think about this. If you had a $200,000 mortgage and you had a 1-year amortization period, you'd have to pay $200,000 in a year, you know, plus some interest. Well, that you couldn't do that. But you know, for Miriam, Mimi, she was able to manage a 17-year amortization, which will save her over the lifespan of her mortgage a lot of interest compared with, say, a 30-year mortgage. So for a real estate investor like you, amortization is your new best friend. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
You're going to have a copy of this video. If you ever wanted to watch it again, you could. All right?
Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to show you the very, very simplest model. I think this is probably as simple a model as you can get, or at least certainly one of the simplest. And I'll show you, I'll share my screen with you in a second.
Okay.
So this is my middle daughter. This is Mimi. Say hi.
I saw a video.
Yeah, you saw her video.
I think I saw
I think you did, yeah.
one of your videos. You had a video on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
About some spreadsheets. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So let's look at what she did. She bought this half a double. Right. You've seen the video. And so this is half a double. So there's another side of the house, which is on the other side. You can't see it here, but she bought this half, all right? So it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, single car garage, you know, in a good location. And what I liked about it is when you go over there, you'll notice that the ground sort of slopes away here. You sort of see it slopes down a bit. And as you go around here, if you can see my cursor moving, and you come to the back, when I stood in the back with Mimi and I looked at this house, I said, Mimi, you're going to buy this place. And she said, why, Dad? I said, because it has what's called a walkout condition. So this is the basement. This is the way it looked. This is how it was built. It has a door to the basement and a window to the basement. The basement itself wasn't finished, but it had a walkout condition, which you'll see in a moment is very, very important. Okay?
Okay.
So now let's look at the location. So it's here at 3 Splinter Crescent. So it's not far. It's about 7 minutes from the beach. You know, that's important for a young person. She likes to be close to the beach, Britannia Beach. It's not far from Farm Boy. Everybody likes to shop at Farm Boy these days. So it's only about 4 minutes from Farm Boy. It's close to a major employment generator. The Queensway Carleton Hospital is only 5 minutes away by car. So it's important, Bassey, for any property that you buy that it's close to big employment.
Right.
Okay? Because if you're going to have, say, a rental apartment in the basement, which I'm going to show you in a minute, you know, if you're close to a big employment center, you're probably always going to have tenants. And one of the questions you asked me in your agenda is how can you ensure you have tenants?
Right.
Well, the answer to that is if you're close to employment. And you may also know that just off the map here on the left-hand side, the west side of this property, is the new Department of National Defense headquarters, where you've got 10,000 people working out of the Nortel campus over here. So within 5 or 10 minutes of her building, she's got thousands of people working at the Queensway Carleton and about 10,000 military officers working over here. So she's likely to have a strong rental demand from those two sources plus others. She's not far from downtown. She's about 17 minutes from downtown, which is good. Do you know what a walk score is?
A walk score?
Yeah, it means, is it a walkable neighborhood? Like your neighborhood where you are now, MacArthur, you could probably walk to a grocery store.
Yes, I can. It's just
Yeah,
across the
and there's
street.
probably a cafe not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a walk score measures, is it very walkable? Like there are lots of neighborhoods which are not walkable, but Vanier
Right.
is walkable. And this area too, from her house, you can walk to Bayshore in about 10 minutes. So pretty good walkability. And there's actually a free website called, I think it's called walkscore.com, where you can put in any address in Canada or the United States and you can get the actual walk score. So her location comes in at about 63 for the walkability, 65 for transit, pretty good, and very bikeable, so 80. So not bad. Now, this is what she did. So she bought this property, and I'll show you the numbers in a minute. She bought this property, and then she put in a basement apartment. So now we're looking at the basement. You remember that door and the window I showed you around the back?
Yes.
Now we're on the inside. So this is the finished product. So if you had seen the before pictures, it was just a basement. There was nothing there. So this is the living room, and it's got a little cupboard here. This is the kitchen she put in. She couldn't afford new appliances, but it still looks okay. You know, it's got good tile and good backsplash and looks quite nice. It's just a little one-bedroom apartment, and the tenant liked green, so we painted it green.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, because of the slope of the land, look at the size of the windows. It doesn't really feel like a basement.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
And then my wife and daughter did something very clever, Bassey. They took the cupboard was inside the master bedroom, but the bedroom was not really that big. So they took the cupboard out and they put it in the hallway. Because in a one-bedroom apartment, you don't really mind getting your clothes out of the cupboard if it's a one-bedroom. If this was a two-bedroom, you wouldn't do that,
Right. Right.
for privacy reasons. But so between the bathroom and the bedroom, the cupboard is outside the bedroom to make the bedroom bigger. This is the bathroom that she put in, so a nice shower and, you know, decent sink. It did have a full stair going up to the main level, but we took that out to make room for this renovation. So this is where the stair used to be.
Okay.
Took it out, but now we have a little bit of storage where the stair used to be, so there's a little bit of extra storage. You can everybody has too much stuff, right? And we put in a washer and dryer so that the tenant could have her or his own laundry facility. All right. The other thing that we do is in all of the apartments that we rent, Bassey, we add tech packages, multimedia really. So every tenant, we manage about 352 properties, and every one of our tenants, except for two, have a tech package. So the moment that our tenants walk in the door, there's already large screen TVs on the wall. They have Netflix, they have Showtime, they have HBO, they have Crave TV, they have Prime, they have Spotify, the music service. We use Nest thermostats, which you would probably know. They're really good programmable thermostats, and you can control them from your phone. Obviously, we have high-speed internet and great Wi-Fi. We use Google Nest so that there are no dead spots in the building. And we use keypad locks, because nothing is worth, if you have 352 doors, you do not want to have 352 sets of keys.
Right.
That you would have a key room. You'd have a whole room just full of keys, and you know what a pain in the neck that could be. So, and this is a profit center. We charge our tenants for this, and they pay us for it, and they love it. I had one lady rent one of our apartments, and it was a little bit more expensive than some of the others I know that she was looking at. And I asked her why she chose ours, and it turned out, this is when Game of Thrones was really going. She was a Game of Thrones addict. And she said, I can't miss a single episode. And she knew that if she rented one of our apartments, she can walk in the door. The moment she walks in, everything works. Because I don't have to tell you, you're a tech person and an engineer like me. By the time you put all of this technology in and get it all working properly, it can take you a month.
Yeah.
And so I'll just show you the numbers. So she bought this half double for $345,000. Do you know what land transfer tax is?
No. I'm sure I've heard of it before, but I
Well,
can't
you know, it's
remember.
just another tax. When you buy a property, you have to pay land transfer tax. So she had to pay about $3,650 in land transfer tax. Then she had some legal costs because you need a lawyer to help you.
Yeah.
Then she did some renovations upstairs, and then her renovations downstairs. It was about $75,000 downstairs and about $11,000 upstairs. She put in a deck. So she ended up spending about $447,000 on this place, buying it, renovating it, and fixing it up. When she got it appraised, her appraisal came in actually a little lower than her costs. We were a bit disappointed because an appraisal is very important, Bassey, because if your appraisal is the same as what you have spent on it, then you can get, say, for example, 80% of that finance. But if the appraisal comes in a little lower, you can't get the extra $17,000 difference finance because it's the lender will say, oh no, we're only going to lend you 80% of 430,000, not 80% of 447. So we were a little bit disappointed in that. It is what it is, you know, and so she needed to come up with some extra money, and that's important to know. And so let me just show you now what it looks like on the revenue side. She gets about $2,000 in rent from the upstairs. They pay $145 for their tech package. She has a shed in the backyard that she rents to them for $85. They pay $225 of utilities. The rent for downstairs is $1,230 a month. That's the one-bedroom apartment in the basement. The tech package downstairs is included in this rent, so there's no special number there. They also have a shed in the back that they rent for $85. So Mimi is getting about $3,700 a month for this place, okay?
Okay.
And she pays some property taxes. She pays water and sewer, electricity, insurance. There's an allowance here for repairs and maintenance, some money that she spends on the tech package. Not sure what this is, miscellaneous. So her, what's called OPEX, operating expenses, are just about $1,100 a month, okay?
Okay.
So it means that her NOI, net operating income, you've got to know this and understand this if you're going to be a real estate investor, is $2,605 a month. What that is, it's the $3,710 that she gets in rent minus her operating expenses, gives her $2,605 a month of net operating income, or $31,270 a year. Her cap rate, or capitalization rate, is simply her net operating income divided by her costs. So she's netting $31,270, and you divide it by her cost, which was $447,000. Means that she's getting a 7% return. Do you understand that?
So her, so she's getting 31,000 per annum, right?
Yep.
And her cost is
47.
So divide that 7%. Okay, yes.
So the way I want you to think about the cap rate is this, okay? Tonight, when you're sitting there watching Netflix, you find something under the cushion that's bugging you. So you lift up the cushion and you find $447,000 in cash in your couch, okay? All right. So tomorrow you call me up and you say, Prof. Bruce, you were right. I looked in my couch and I found $447,000. It was fantastic. What should I do with it? So I say, well, Bassey, how much, if you took that windfall and you put it into the bank, how much interest would the bank pay you?
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Is that a hypothetical? A rhetorical? I don't know, not much. A few.
Well, maybe 1%.
1% or something?
1% probably.
1%. Okay.
It used to be 1.5, which isn't very much, but it's gone down because of COVID-19. Interest rates have gone down, so you probably get 1%. But let's assume it's 2%. Okay, we'll just be generous. We'll pretend the banks like us. So you take the $447,000 and you put it in the bank in a high interest savings account. I put that in quotes, high interest, and you get 2% on it. So how much are you getting a year from the bank?
2% of 447,000.
So how much is that?
Like 9,000?
Sounds about right. I would have thought about 8,900 or 9,000.
It's 89. It's 89.40.
Yeah. So we'll just say 9,000. So skill testing question. You can put the $447,000 into your bank and get $9,000 of interest a year, or you could buy something like this and get $31,270 a year. Which one is better?
The 31,000, the second
I would
option.
think so. It's about 3 or 3 and a bit times better, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's not the only return on investment. When you buy real estate, there's other returns. Do you know what maybe another return on investment is for a house like this?
Well, the fact that it's appreciating.
Well, real estate can go down, it doesn't always go up, but over the last, 50, 60, 70 years, it's probably been going up, 2 or 3% per annum. And lately it's probably been going up 4 or 5% per annum, but let's just assume it goes up 3% per annum. So on a $447,000 cost or house, if it goes up 3% per annum, how much money is that for you?
About 12,000?
Yeah, a little bit more, probably closer to $13,000.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if you owned this place, you would be making $31,000 from your rents after you pay your operating expenses. Plus, you would get another $13,000 of appreciation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually making probably $44,000. So another skill testing question, what's better, $44,000 from your real estate investment or $9,000 from your bank?
Well, 44,000.
Absolutely. I mean, we're just having some fun here. I don't mean these questions seriously, but I'm trying to make a point. So $44,000 a year. Now, you notice I haven't said one thing about a mortgage payment. We're just pretending Bassey is a rich dude who found $447,000 in her couch and bought this thing for cash. If you have a mortgage on it, and over time, the mortgage is getting paid off, who gets the benefit of that?
Of the mortgage getting paid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, technically, I do, right? Because then it means that I'm owning more. I'm getting equity, like I'm owning more of the property.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
So it benefits you, and if your sister's involved, benefits you and your sister. Who's paying the mortgage?
So the mortgage would be paid from the rent, right? Like the money that I'm collecting from my tenants.
Who's paying Bassey's mortgage? Your tenants.
The tenants.
Who's getting the benefit of that?
I am.
Right. So there's a third type of return if you have a mortgage. If you're just a rich dude, you don't worry about this. You just look at the net operating income and the appreciation. Now, the next thing that you might be thinking is, okay, if the building's going up every year in value, that's nice, but I don't actually get that money. It's somewhere out there in the ether, right? But in actual fact, you do. So going back to my graph, my very complicated graph, if you're got a strong amortization schedule and the building's going up in value, over time, this is widening, this gap is widening. So if it's going up in value and your mortgage is going down, over time, you can refinance your properties, pull more cash out tax-free, and reinvest. You know, you don't pay income tax on that because it's just mortgage money, right? It's proceeds of a mortgage. So at some point, real estate becomes self-sustaining. Do you sort of see what I'm getting at?
Yes.
So the next question is, if you want to retire when, say, you're 58 or 60, so you're 42 now, so 16 or 20 years from now, 62, you'll be 20 years from now. And you said to me, Bruce, Prof. Bruce, I'd like to have $150,000 a year from my real estate portfolio to live on. You know, maybe you'll have a good pension, that's great. But a lot of people don't have pensions. And some of the pensions are not really as good as you might think. How many Mimis would you have to own in order to get $150,000 a year in income from them? The answer is very easy. It's 4.8. You would have to buy 5 of these properties, and if you did it with your sister, 10, so that each of you could have $150,000 of net operating income. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
This is not a complicated model. This is not me putting a man or woman on Mars. This is just, you know, this is really real estate 101. There's other models that are more sophisticated, but this is very, very basic, very simple to do, easy to understand. So, you know, if you took that same money that you're investing in real estate and you said, no, I'm not going to invest in real estate. I'm going to just put my money in the bank. How much money would you have to save between now and age 62 to get $150,000 a year from the bank? Assuming that you're getting 2% interest, the answer is right in front of you. It's $7.5 million. So if you could save $7.5 million and your sister could save another $7.5 million, you don't need to invest in real estate. Just put it in the bank, get your 2%, you're good.
Yeah.
But that's hard to save money. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm not really much of a saver. I'm a good investor, but I'm not much of a saver. Am I making any sense so far?
Yes, you are.
So that is a very, very simple model. And what I would recommend you do is you would, if you were interested, you and your sister would buy something like that. And make sure that you do one property. Don't try and buy 5 at the same time. You know, most people when they're starting off at something should walk before they, you know, what do they say? Crawl, then walk, then run, then fly,
Then run.
You know, then go to the moon, I guess, or Mars. My recommendation would be you would do one and make sure that you're comfortable with it, you understand the process, and then you can just do it again and again and again. It's not that hard to do. My daughters are all doing it. I've got my 2 boys doing it. So, you know, and I've got thousands of people now around Canada, the United States on this program. So the minimum program for you and your sister, well, for you would be to buy 5 of these, and for your sister to buy 5.
Okay.
I mean, that's the kind of thing. So if I asked you to save $7.5 million over 20 years, you'd probably hang up on me. But if I asked you, could you buy five Mimis in the next 20 years, you'd probably, oh yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
So that's really, really simple stuff, and I would strongly recommend that you consider something like this. There's some other things that you could do with this model that are really, really interesting. But you know, we could leave that for later.
Okay, so in terms of starting, so like, I mean, initially, like at the beginning of the call, you were suggesting renting out this place and buying somewhere. But like what I'm thinking after the call is just like right away buying a place that I could rent out and just staying here.
No, that's fine.
Right?
The reason I suggest that is that you're much younger than me. I'm 68, so I'm really old. And 42 for a woman is not old. My goodness. The fastest growing population in Canada, the United States, are women 100 up. So if you're not,
Oh,
if I mean, I'm not, it's none of my business, but if you don't smoke and you don't drink too much and you get some
no.
regular exercise, women today will live into their low hundreds. So believe it or not, you could have a 60-year, time horizon in front of you easily. I mean, my mother-in-law
Yeah.
is 96 and she still runs our family with an iron fist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, she runs. She's the boss. I love her dearly. But so to me, you're a young person, and men are not living that long. Men tend to poop out. But and believe it or not, Bassey, 60% of my clients are women.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't expect that when I start, after I retired from the University of Ottawa at 60 or 61, I didn't want to just sit at home and watch TV all day. That would be horrible. And I hate golf. I'm terrible. So I thought I would try to do some real estate investment and business coaching. And I really liked doing it. And I'll be honest, I thought 80% of my clients would be male and 20% would be female, but it's turned out to be 60% are women and 40% are men. I was quite surprised by that, but a lot of women, very young women, I coach women in their 20s and 30s, 40s, all the way up until their 70s. And a lot of women today have realized by the time that they're in their 50s and 60s and 70s, they're on their own. Most of the men, almost all of them are dead. If I took you to a retirement residence anywhere within 50 kilometers of where you're sitting now, I could take you in because I know that business pretty well. If there's 135 rooms in a retirement residence, 128 of them will be women.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of women, very young, like in their 20s and 30s and 40s, like you, have come to me and said, I really want to be able to take care of myself and my kids if they have any. Because they realize that it's very likely if they have a partner, he's going to be dead. It's just incredible the number of, when they get to be my age, after 60 and certainly after 70, men just die like flies and women go on forever.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even in addition to that, like, there's just being financially independent and not like, not being so, especially with what's going on right now with COVID-19. I mean, I'm lucky
Absolutely.
that my job is actually perhaps even benefited from the fact that everybody's working from home and we do like network and VPN equipment. So I'm lucky that, I wasn't affected, but, it did get me thinking that, I do have that dependency on my job and I don't have complete control of it. Like I have my mortgage and I have responsibilities that.
So I'm going to tell you, my coaching practice was doing quite well. I mean, it's not ridiculously huge, but it was doing, it was growing. And then COVID-19 hit and it went like this.
Yeah.
Because, and it was a good practice 6 months ago. It was, and I like doing it. But as soon as COVID-19 hit, I thought, that'll be the end of my coaching practice. I'm going to have to find something else to do. But quite the contrary. People like you're not the first person in the last 6 months to tell me, 8 million Canadians lost their jobs. 8 million. And in the United States, I do quite a bit of coaching in the States. 40 million Americans, 40 million lost their jobs. So whether they're lucky like you and they still have a job or they just lost their job, they've been coming to me for coaching, and they say, look, I want to make sure that I can take care of myself and my family, without having to, just in case something happens to my job, because, like I said, you could be looking at a 60-year future. And the other thing I would say to you, you asked in your agenda, which again, I'm holding you responsible for being so late. But no, it was a good agenda. But you asked me about property management. So if I got a chance to coach you and your sister too, one of the things I would want you to do is at least to try your hand at property management, to do it yourself. at least for the first building. I will teach you proper property management. I will teach you proper residential leasing, because there's more to it than you might think. I will teach you animation techniques that you probably wouldn't learn on your own, even if you did this for 30 years. And I think it's really important, you know, whether it's a tech business or a shoe store or a real estate investment business, that you know every aspect of this business.
Yeah, I agree. Because even when I was thinking about the property management, like getting a property manager, I kind of felt like it's probably something that I should,
I agree
even
with
before
that.
hiring someone, I feel like I should understand exactly what's involved. So,
Right.
and there's no better time than when I'm just starting, right?
Right,
Like
right.
when it's still small.
And if you think about it, if you did own 5 Mimis, you know, you would have 10 tenants.
Right.
You know, you'd have the upstairs and the downstairs tenant, for example. That's not too much to manage. And to give you an example of what I teach and what I coach is that if I teach you how to do proper property management, you will not do any 1-year leases. You will do 2-year leases, minimum. I just did a residential lease on Sunday, so yesterday, for 7 years. And,
for what? 7?
Yep. Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And that's a little bit of a complicated story. I won't go into it today, but minimum 2 years. And the reason for that is, let's say you have 5 Mimis, you own it, and your sister owns 5 more, or you own them together, whatever you decide. And you have, if you had 10 buildings between the two of you, you'd have 20 tenants. If you do 2-year leases, it means on average, you're only having to worry about 10 leases a year. If you do 1-year leases, by gosh, you have to replace them every year. That's way too much work. I'm all in favor of less work. Okay, so I'll teach you some things that will really help you, and that's an example of one of them. So you can reduce your workload by half, and maybe in 10 years or in 20 years or 5 years you get sick and tired of it. Maybe then you can hire a property manager, but by then you'll be an expert at it, and they can't excuse my language, but they can't BS you, if you know what I mean by that.
Right.
You know,
yes.
they can't BS you. You'll just know, you know, they can't, you know, property managers can rip you off in a lot of ways. They can tell you, for example, oh, the furnace needs replacement. Oh, shoot, how much is that going to cost? $8,000. And then they have a buddy who puts in a furnace for $4,000. They charge you $8,000. You pay $8,000 to the guy. He gives $2,000 back to the property management. They do this all the time. So, you know, you really have, in my opinion, you should not even consider being a real estate investor unless you're willing to do some work.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't like to, I mean, I don't want to do more work than I have to, but there's some things that are called core competencies, and this is one of them.
Okay.
All right, so you'd have to be able to do some of that, but I'll show you how to find good tenants, how to check them out, how to do proper leasing, how to do proper. I got all this training stuff that I help my young people like you out with, and it really pays dividends, because if you have really great tenants, I'll give you an example. My wife and I own quite a few properties, and we have a beautiful townhouse overlooking the Ottawa River. And this nice couple from Toronto has been renting it. I think they paid $2,600 a month. And they've been renting it for 2 years. And this summer, I got a call from the lady of the house, and she said, Bruce, we've got ants in the kitchen. What do I do? And I said, well, you're going to need some ant traps, you know, to get rid of the pests. And she said, well, where do I get them? I said, don't worry about it. I'll go to Canadian Tire, I'll pick up some, and I'll just put it in a plastic bag. I'll hang it on your door and put them in the kitchen, away from your cat. So I don't want your cat to get a hold of it. And in a few days, you'll have no ants. Oh, well, you do that? Sure. And my wife was saying, Bruce, why are you doing that? I said to her, her name is Dawn. I said, Dawn, these people have rented this townhouse for 2 years. They paid us over $60,000 in rent for 2 years. This is the first call we got from them in 2 years. I can spend 20 minutes going to Canadian Tire, picking up 5 ant traps for $6 and hanging them on her door. I don't mind doing it. You know, we've got 352 doors that we manage, but you know, it's called PR, right? public relations. It's customer relations, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, you show me another business where I can get $60,000 from a customer and get one phone call in 2 years. I said, I don't mind doing it. And she laughed and said, okay. And, you know, it's just customer relations. A lot of property managers, you know, they think of their tenants as the enemy. Well, that's crazy. They're paying your bills. They're paying my bills. I'm grateful.
Yeah. I saw that like in the link that you sent, you were talking about, I think it was a Shopify business case.
Yeah, exactly.
When you talked about adding value, like essentially your client is the one who's paying, right? Like, so adding value to your client, like to your client's business, will add value to yours, right? Like that, I think it was a Shopify business model where you were saying, you know, helping them sell more and helping them improve their business, sort of thing. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been teaching this stuff on the business side, but I brought that to the real estate side. And I said to all the young people and not so young people I coach, stop treating your tenants as if they're the enemy. They're your best friends. And we have very, very good relations with our tenants. We have a few commercial tenants, for example, that really got into trouble you know, with COVID-19. And we deferred rent or we applied for that rental subsidy program you know, right away. And, you know, I think we have saved out of, we probably only have about 15 commercial tenants, but I think we've saved every one of them. I don't think any of them have failed. You know, we had one yoga studio and she was closed. I don't know, for 4 or 5 months, I think she was closed. And we said, don't worry about it. We'll apply for the rent subsidy. And she had to put in 25%. Federal government put in 25%. The provincial government put in 25%, and we put in 25%. So that was fine. We lost a little bit of money, but I don't care about that. I care about, you know, she's a wonderful tenant. She rents an apartment from us and a workshop where she practices, she runs her yoga practice. And it's been very, very, very successful up until COVID-19. That's not her fault. So we lost a little bit of money, but she's now back in business. That she can't have as many people as she used to. She used to have about 12 or 13 men and women come for yoga classes 3 or 4 times a day. This is a backyard workshop. And now I think she can only fit 6 or 8 because she has to do the social distancing thing.
And all that,
yeah. So we're still at 75% rent instead of 100%, but I'm okay with that. She'll come out of it, and we'll come out of it eventually. So tenants are not your enemy; they're your very best friends, and we treat them, you know, in a very professional manner, and we honor them. But they also, you know, have to work with us. And I'll give you another example of some of the very simple stuff that we do. We allow both our commercial tenants and our residential tenants to pay their rent, if they want to, twice a month. So rather than paying on the 1st of the month the whole amount, they can pay half on the 1st of the month and half on the 15th. And a lot of people get paid, you know, kind of every 2 weeks. So this really helps our tenants. And even the ones who are, you know, they just write one check or they send one e-transfer, that's fine, whatever. You know, because some of them were really concerned at the beginning of COVID, they went to the 1st and the 15th of the month. These are not, again, we're not putting a man or woman on Mars here, right? I mean, this is not really complicated, but it's very valuable in terms of building up a tenant base that really, really respects you and vice versa. Okay, now a couple other things you asked me about. We got about another 6 or 7 minutes, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, at 4, I've got another coaching call I got to do at 4. So this is with a guy I coach.
But I do want to talk about, like, if I wanted to move forward and all of that, like, will I get a chance to talk about that before you have to leave for your next call?
Well, I'm coaching somebody in Long Beach, California at 4. So I do have to make sure I'm on time. Sure, absolutely. I'm here for you. What questions do you have for me?
I don't know. I mean, like, if I wanted to move forward with your coaching, because like you mentioned how much it would cost, and So and then like what the payments are, when I'm supposed to make those payments, how frequently I get to speak to you, like just
what's my coaching deal, right?
Like how does it work? Like if I wanted to move forward and like get things going.
one of the things I really like about coaching women is they're very detail oriented, which is good. You know, like the guys are always asking me, what's the shortcut to getting rich? There's no shortcut to getting rich. But I've never had that question from a woman, never. They're willing, you know, almost, well, all the women I coach are willing to do the work. So what it is before COVID-19 hit, I was charging $1,500 a month plus HST for my coaching. But once COVID hit, I just decided, because I can do it, I would reduce the price. So it's $850 a month plus HST. So you'd have to budget $850 plus HST for 6 months. I don't want to coach you forever. All right. So in 6 months, Bassey, we can get your first transaction done. We can get you trained up in property management. We can get you trained up in financing. We can put a team together. You know, you asked me about the team, the mortgage broker, the lawyer, the appraiser, the people that you're really going to need, the coach. So you'd budget $850 plus HST for 6 months. And you're welcome to add your sister as a +1. So she can attend these sessions if she wants to with you. And I don't charge more for that. So if your sister would pay half maybe, and you would pay the other half, you'd each have to budget $425 a month plus HST. So if you shared it, you know, and a lot of people do. I coach a lot of couples, you know, I've got a couple of gay guys I coach. I think they're married now. You know, I don't care. I mean, people are just people to me. There's only two kinds of people in this world: good people and maybe not so good people. You know, I don't distinguish anything else than that. They're just good people and maybe not so good people. And I suspect you and your sister are good people. So, so I coach you for 6 months. You can add your +1. Doesn't cost you any more. You can share the cost with her. We meet for 2 hours on Zoom once a month. And these are very intense sessions. I record them, and so that you have a record of them, because I think that really helps the people. And, you know, I coach everyone from I've got a couple of billionaires that I coach, and then I've got a few former students and young people like you who are buying their first investment property. So you have to create a very detailed agenda, you and your sister, and send it to me 3 days in advance, not 2 hours before, not an hour before. 3 days, because I prepare for these things. Because it's not a one-size-fits-all coaching practice. You understand? Like, your needs are very different from a billionaire client. And I've got commercial clients, very different again. So, and I've got business clients, you know, like I coach Shopify. If I'm coaching Shopify, their agenda is going to be vastly different from you and your sister buying your first investment property. It just is. So you have to prepare very detailed, and I add stuff to your agenda, but I want you to prepare your agenda, because that's the skeleton around which we build everything. Okay. So then we do a coaching session. And then I would ask you and your sister, if your sister's part of this, to prepare a mid-month report. It's called a mid-month report. So let's say part of coaching is holding you accountable. So if you tell me you're going to do these 4, 5, or 6 things, I want to hear from you that you did them, that some questions came up, or you didn't do them, and why not. So I'm not your boss, I'm just your coach, but I do hold people accountable. Right? So I have a very high success rate, but, you know, I have fairly high standards. I'm not your boss, but I don't want to coach people who are not willing to do the work. If you do the work, I am absolutely confident that 20 years from now, when maybe I'm up in heaven, you'll be saying, thank God I did the coaching. I really believe that. So the mid-month report is important. So it gives me feedback, and then I can give you feedback. Then the other thing I'd ask you to do is to put Zoom on your phone. I will surround you with a group of mortgage brokers, realtors, lawyers who are really good and painfully honest, you know, really good people. And if you put Zoom on your phone, when you're going through a property that you are going to buy, I can go through it with you, but I don't actually have to be there.
Right.
You know, like I help, like these guys I'm talking to in 2 minutes from Long Beach, I helped them buy a number of properties. I can't fly to Long Beach. Even before COVID-19, it's ridiculous. So with Zoom,
and you don't have to.
And you don't have to. With Zoom, I could say, Bassey, can you move back? And I record these sessions. And then if you're talking to a lender, or you're talking to a mortgage broker and you need my help, I can drop in. These are ad hoc things. I drop in for 10 or 15 minutes. you know, and I put my 2 cents. And if you're talking to a couple of investors, if that's the direction you go in, I can drop in for 10 or 15 minutes and say, well, listen, I know Bassey, she knows what she's doing. And, you know, this project is a great project and it's one you should consider. And having somebody like me come in sometimes can make a difference with a lender, an investor, mortgage broker, whatever. So that's kind of what I do. And it works. I have a pretty high success rate, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
You too. I'm excited to start. I really am.
Well, I tell you, I think we would get along really well. And I love doing this. It's a passion. And if you and your sister or you alone would like some coaching, just reach back to me by email. Say, I have like a 2-page agreement I'll send you and you can sign it or not. Okay?
Okay. Thanks, Bruce.
I really enjoyed it.
It was nice talking to you.
Look for an email from me. I'm going to download this right now. And when I get some time, I'll put it on YouTube for you.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Bruce.
Bye.
Bye.